He says that you have nothing special to show him on Saturday night. What do you think beating Islam would do in proving that you are a special fighter?
Beating him proves that I'm special. Everybody right here, everybody in this stadium, every single one of you fans, consider him to be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter on the planet. You consider him to be the greatest martial artist walking the earth right now. When I beat him, you'll all shut your fucking mouth and you'll call me great. Islam's better than all of them. Islam's the greatest fighter on the planet right now. Islam is gonna come in there, he's gonna grab a hold of me at one point, and that's the moment the fight starts. I'm excited for that point to prove my talents, my skill sets, to be able to show everybody that I can stop the grappling and bring the fight where I need it on the feet.
He's a good fighter, but he don't have something special. I beat many strikers, and that's it. He just next opponent. That's it. He don't have something special to defend my wrestling. I don't know how it's gonna be, who is gonna be Rocky, but my plan to step to the cage from the first second, pressure him, take him down, broke him, and finish him there. I'm looking for the finish this fight.
Ian Garry's winning this shit, man. And he's putting the belt around Layla's waist. I'm telling you. I'm fucking telling you it's exactly what's going to happen. I've been looking for a better Dustin Poirier for years. I'm just keeping it real with you guys. Someone out there is going to have the ability to scramble up and to escape positions of a Dustin Poirier or the Volkanovski, based on their frame, based on their ability. And once they do, Makhachev's going to be in a world of trouble, folks. Okay? I don't think Ian Garry gets held down by Makhachev. First of all, I don't think he gets submitted by Makhachev in this fight. I could maybe see a world where it happens. I don't think Ian Machado Garry is 6'3". I think he's about 6'2", and Makhachev's probably borderline 5'11". So I don't think the height difference is going to be too crazy. But he's got some reach to work with here on Makhachev. And I think he's going to like cut Makhachev open with a... I think it'll just be one of them fights where you're like, oh yeah, damage shit just happened to Makhachev. The cut that Poirier opened up got opened up by Garry in round 1. And it's bugging Makhachev on the feet a bit. He stomped Makhachev's leg with an oblique kick early in the fight. Sure, he got taken down. But here's what I want to say. I don't think Ian Garry is going to have to do what JD...
How do you have your guys emulate what Ian Garry is going to do? Or do you guys just train to be the best version of Islam?
This is the part which one we always focus to be in the great shape, you know. Of course, we're looking for the opponent to make the game plan, and I bring some couple guys for this camp who have some like who tall, who have like a good reach, you know. But most of the things just come to the fight, become in great shape, you know. This is the thing which one we focus always. But I have many good sparring partners like Usman and Amro. They have like similar style. Usman also he not like go too much forward. He just try to like do like contra punch, you know. It's like similar style. That's why I did a lot of rounds inside this camp, and I think like better than young strikers in my camp.
But Islam made it all the way because of his work ethic, his discipline, and let's call it sacrifice. He gave up a lot to reach this level. This isn't easy. You have to make sacrifices. You have to make sacrifices. You have to give up parties. You have to sacrifice sleep. You have to sacrifice your time. There are so many things you have to give up. You have to dedicate your entire life to this sport, putting aside all the things that can distract you. You train, you sleep, you eat, you wake up, and then you do it all over again. Only then can you reach the level that Islam reached. That's what makes him unique. Were there
The stakes for Garry are existential in a way Islam can't fully appreciate from across the cage. Chael Sonnen outlined the career implications clearly. If Garry beats Islam, he likely gets another title shot against him, which creates a path forward. But if Garry loses, where does he go? He's too big to comfortably drop to 155 pounds, not big enough to move up to middleweight, and the welterweight division is stacked with top-tier contenders. A loss to Islam doesn't just mean a setback. It means months or years of climbing back to contention in perhaps the most competitive division in the UFC. Sonnen noted that Garry has proven he can bounce back from defeat, that he's emerged stronger after losses in his career. But losing to the pound-for-pound best on a stage as big as UFC 330 carries a different weight. It would define his trajectory in ways a loss to someone else wouldn't. This is Garry's moment to change his legacy narrative from prospect to elite, to prove that he belongs in the conversation with Islam Makhachev as a special fighter capable of historic things. Demetrius Johnson added perspective on Islam's rhythm and distance manipulation. Johnson recalled how Islam dismantled JDM by attacking the legs and mixing takedowns whenever JDM tried to open up his striking. Against Garry, Johnson expects the initial phase to be a tactical range battle, but he believes Islam gains a significant advantage once the fight reaches the canvas. What's particularly important is how Islam adjusts to Garry's length. Johnson explained that Garry's natural style, using long kicks and extended attacks to create distance, could paradoxically create opportunities for Islam to time takedowns. Garry's own weapons become the trap. Additionally, Johnson praised Islam for staying at welterweight instead of retreating to a lighter division. This decision adds complexity to Islam's legacy because he's deliberately making it harder on himself, facing larger and longer opponents. It's a choice that makes his wins more impressive, but also introduces variables that lighter divisions wouldn't provide. Dominic Cruz sees a different kind of opportunity for Garry. Cruz points out that Makhachev's striking has become dangerously sharp because opponents are so obsessed with defending takedowns that they leave openings for his hands. But Garry, who excels at distance control, can potentially force extended stand-up exchanges that don't favor Islam's setup patterns. The real challenge for Garry, according to Cruz, is surviving the relentless initial takedown attempts in each round without burning himself out defending. If Garry can absorb those early attempts without hemorrhaging stamina, Cruz believes the fight opens up as it progresses. The size difference also matters more than people realize. At welterweight, Garry will likely appear significantly larger than Islam, giving him genuine reach advantages. Cruz doesn't expect either fighter to dominate, but he envisions a closely contested battle that could be decided by a narrow margin, or even a split decision in Garry's favor. What makes this fight genuinely unpredictable is the intangible factor that Khabib Nurmagomedov articulated when discussing Islam's development. Khabib explained that Islam's rise to championship level came from more than physical tools. It came from a psychological framework built on constant sacrifice. Islam gave up parties, sleep, time, and every distraction to dedicate his entire life to the sport. That mentality, according to Khabib, is what separates Islam from his peers. Khabib also noted that despite psychological differences between them, they share similar fighter mentality and work ethic. Islam has built himself into a complete fighter through years of systematized preparation. Against someone like Garry, who's younger and still developing that same kind of unshakable mental architecture, Islam's accumulated experience in high-pressure moments becomes an advantage that doesn't always show up on fight statistics. Aljamain Sterling provided another layer of concern for Garry, one rooted in practical experience. Sterling explained that Islam's cage control, his pressure methodology, and his southpaw angles create a systematic problem that pure movement alone can't solve. Islam will cut off the cage, apply pressure, and force Garry into corners where his reach becomes neutralized and his movement options collapse. Sterling also highlighted something troubling about Garry's fight history, a pattern of fading as fights progress. If Islam manages to keep Garry pressed against the cage and working defensively, Sterling thinks the champion finds a clear path to victory through accumulated takedowns and positional control. However, Sterling did acknowledge one saving grace for Garry. His footwork and movement remain elite, possibly his most formidable asset in this matchup. The question becomes whether that movement is sharp enough to keep Islam from establishing the cage control he thrives on. The critical variable here isn't strength or size, though both matter. According to Chael Sonnen, this fight comes down to mentality and intent, not physicality. Sonnen explains that Garry has prepared strategies for everything: the jab, the kick, the takedown attempt, the position underneath. But preparation only works if Gary's mentality matches his game plan. If Garry gets taken down and accepts the bottom position, if he tries to play guard and hunt submissions, Cael thinks he's finished. Islam will break him there, but if Garry refuses to stay underneath, if he expends every ounce of energy scrambling and fighting back to his feet, then Garry has a legitimate path to victory. This is a battle of wills disguised as a grappling exchange. Islam wants to keep Garry pinned down. Garry wants to use every atom of energy to escape and reset the fight on his terms. The fault lines of this fight become clear when you look at their game plans. Islam's approach is ancient and proven. Apply relentless pressure from the opening second, take Garry down, break him on the mat, and finish him in a position where Gary's height and reach become liabilities instead of assets. Islam has been studying what makes him dangerous even in a new weight class: his fitness, his wrestling acumen, his ability to impose his will through pure work rate. But Garry has built his entire camp around one pivotal moment: the takedown attempt. Garry believes that when Islam shoots, when he grabs hold, that's when the real fight begins. Gary's training camp has been singular in focus. He wants to defend the takedown without bleeding energy, then drag Islam back to the feet where his movement and distance can operate freely. At UFC 330, two visions of greatness collide. Islam Makhachev, the undefeated pound-for-pound king with a historic 20-win championship run, stands opposite Ian Garry, the young Irishman desperate to cement his legacy by dismantling the sport's most dominant fighter. What makes this collision critical is not just the title on the line. It's what each fighter's victory means for their place in history. Makhachev views Garry as just another opponent, a stepping stone in his inevitable conquest of the welterweight division. But Garry sees this differently. He understands that beating the greatest fighter on the planet is the only proof that matters. When Garry steps into that cage, he's not fighting for a belt. He's fighting to be remembered as the man who stopped Islam Makhachev's unstoppable rise. Islam Makhachev entered this presser with cold dismissal. He took that scar on Gary's face and used it as a visual reminder of something he said repeatedly: Garry has nothing special to defend against his wrestling. Makhachev isn't being arrogant, he's been clinical. He's beaten elite strikers for years now. He moved up to welterweight, beat Jack Della Maddalena to prove the weight class isn't a problem. And now he's approaching Garry as the next logical target in his legacy quest. What Islam doesn't see in Garry is a new threat. What he sees is another fighter built on hype, another contender who hasn't faced the kind of pressure his wrestling applies. The champion's logic is simple. He's done this to everyone, and Garry will be no different. Ian Garry's response flipped the script entirely. He didn't argue that he's special. He said that beating Islam would prove he is. Garry knows exactly what he's walking into. He's acknowledged that Islam is the greatest fighter on the planet right now, the most complete martial artist the sport has ever produced. There's no delusion here, but that's precisely why defeating him matters so much. Garry is selling a narrative of legacy-defining moments. He wants to be the fighter who walked into a cage, faced the best, and proved he belonged in that conversation. When Garry talks about beating Islam, he's not just talking about a win. He's talking about transformation, about forcing the entire combat sports world to recognize him as something more than a prospect.